Okay. Ah, good.
You're watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. We're had a few technical difficulties, but we're here. My name is Mark Monlux. I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist in Tacoma, Washington. I like to draw cartoon movie reviews. You can look for The Comic Critic online, as well as The Return of Stickman. Guys, introduce yourselves.
My name is Crystal Rollins. I make the comic as. I was talking first.
Okay.
My name is Crystal Rollins. I make the comic Aspect and Skyborn, and most recently Light and Shadow. And I'm on bird number 61 of the Bird Brained Illustration Challenge. I'm done.
I'm Bill Morse. I do comics and illustrations. And I'm getting reverb. It's very confusing. I do a comic strip called Rhapsodies. Currently, I'm doing a whole lot of trees.
Bill, you're showing up twice on my end, which might be why you're getting some reverb. I have an active picture, I have an inactive picture. And when you're quiet, everything's good, we can see you. But the moment you talk, we lose your picture, and I think it's trying to go back to your static image. I have no idea what's happening. You may want to try to sign off and sign back again.
Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, did that got it? Yes, it got it. I had the page that I gave up on and forgot about opened up on its own time and was sort of playing me twice.
Well, now, Bill, we can hear your voice, but we can't see you.
Can anybody hear that?
Oh, we can hear you, Bill, but we can't see you.
Okay,
Bill is currently the talking black hole.
Okay. There.
Well, wrecked static image, but at least we don't have reverb.
There we go. Can you see and hear me now?
Yes, we can see and hear you now.
Okay, well, sorry about that. As I said, I've been doing lots of trees, so.
Oh, nice watercolor. Say something so the picture goes back to you.
Something so the pictures come back to me. I've been spending my vacation at the Darling Center in Walpole, Maine, doing watercolors of the area around me. So we have here, and this is the first one I did, and finally the one that I just finished an hour ago is nice on the coastline of the Damariscotta River.
I like how you got like that soft lake effect with the watercolors. Where like you get the reflection, but it's just sort of like a hazy reflection of the colors.
Yeah.
That came out really nice.
Exactly. Yeah, I just discovered a new shade of green that is very useful for capturing that sort of brownish yellow mud color that a lot of the shallow water has out here.
Can always use more colors of mud, I guess.
Yes.
So, Bill, and your mom.
Jokes aside, that's exactly. I mean, what?
I was asking if your
mom what?
joined you on your watercolor expedition, or did she stay home this time?
My expedition or I stay home?
Did your mom go with you?
Oh, my mom. Oh, she went with me for came with me for this one, and so she has a version of roughly the same picture, and she was trying to talk me into moving the log at the bottom there to make it look better. I refused because the whole point of the exercise is to au natural.
She wanted you to clean up nature.
I mean, the fact that...
Jace.
I'm sorry?
I asked if she wanted you to clean up nature.
This log here, so...
It's nature. It looks too natural.
I'm sorry, you keep... or did you do it on purpose that time?
Nope. I think your connection might be lagging.
Yeah.
I asked if your mom was trying to get you to clean up nature.
Yeah, I think Bill's connection must have
dropped it clean.
I'll type my comment in the chat window for you, Bill.
Okay.
Ah! Shit. Come back. Jace, you're gonna get rolled over. Scoot.
Oh. Speaking of noisy cats, you should have seen the Maine Coon cat that was the mascot at this official store cat mascot at this small art store I stopped by. I mean, the thing must have been at least 20 pounds and affectionate as hell. Oh.
So I have a report on my Kickstarter.
What kind of report?
A financial report.
Ooh.
Let me, so I received $6,216 in rewards. And my expenses were, Kickstarter took a percentage, that's $737.20. I set aside $621.60 for taxes, that's 10%. I ended up spending $908.80 on mailing and postage. And my printing cost for 1,000 decks was $4,611.99. Now this means I went into the red about $663.99, but but the supporter part of it only sold, the supporters only took 300 of the decks, so I have an inventory of 700 decks now. So if you spread out that cost amongst the remaining decks, it's less than $1 a deck.
Ah.
And if I sell those decks between, wholesale of, $10 each on about half of them, or if I sold all of them at or $15, I'll have a net profit of somewhere between $65,000 and $8,000.
So about 50%.
Yeah. Now I expected to put some of my own money forward anyway onto this project. I would have gone into the black had it not been for the stretch reward that everybody wanted, which was the higher printing quality on the playing cards. They wanted a better paper quality for me, not better printing quality, better playing card quality. And that added $1 per deck. But it was worth it to go from $4,500 to $6,000, which is what was done in order to achieve that stretch goal. And now I have some solid numbers to look at as far as determining if I'm going to use someone else to do fulfillment on my cards, which I really want to do because I've spent a lot of my side time doing fulfillment on this. So if they can come close to how much I think if I spent double of what I did on packaging and postage with a fulfillment service, I'd be happy with that. And that's what I'm going to try to plan and budget for next time. Now, Crystal, which one? You said you were on number 67?
This will be 61.
61.
Yeah, I have 60 birds finished right now. The last one I did most recently was that drawing of Fox the Phoenix.
And I'm a little disappointed. I thought they had realistic birds, not birds.
You gotta read the Kickstarter, man. I had that in the little frequently asked questions right at the top.
So
that fictional birds were allowed?
Yeah. I never said they had to be real birds. They just had to be birds. So most of them people picked real birds. But I had about 3 or 4 people. One person just wanted a phoenix. One person specifically requested Fox the Phoenix from Harry Potter. And my friend Jag wanted Ganymede from Overwatch.
I don't know that one.
Ganymede is the little bird that...
Or is that, was that one of your titles?
No, Overwatch, the video game.
Yeah, Bill.
Oh, okay.
The video game. I'm familiar that Overwatch is...
So with Fox, did you go with the movie or the book illustration?
I based it off of the movie, kind of, just because it would have the most detailing. But I ended up actually doing the entire pose from scratch and making some adjustments so that it worked better as a small illustration, because in the movie, he's really heavily detailed. So I had to simplify him and adjust him quite a bit. And then I really kind of cranked up the colors, because in the movie, he's not super vibrant because he has to fit in like a realistic environment. And for the illustration, I kind of just wanted it to really look like he was glowing, like a phoenix. And I poked around for like a point in the movie when he's like at his prime, because when you first see him in the movie, he's like a second before death. He looks like kindling, basically.
Were there a number of screen grabs involved?
I didn't end up watching the movie. I just did a Google image search, and there were plenty of other people who grabbed some good screens that I was able to get enough reference to like see like how the feathers flowed and like where the color transitions were and stuff on him. It worked out pretty well. And like I said, I really surprised myself. That one I didn't base the layout or pose off of anything from the movie. I just winged that based on how I've gotten better at understanding bird anatomy. I literally thought about a chicken with a long neck.
That's the one, the My Little Pony. Well, sort of like the Egyptian version. It sort of sounds more like a stork of some sort, but...
A little bit. With the way he's got a beak, the beak on the phoenix actually kind of reminded me of like vultures or condors. It kind of looked like they took inspiration from a bunch of different kinds of birds for the way they designed him in the movie. He sort of has like the wingspan and the beak of like a condor or like a carrion bird, but he's got the like slightly longer neck like a waterfowl. but then his body was like fairly stocky, almost like a wild turkey or like a wild goose or something.
Huh. Been been a while since I've seen that movie, so.
So, take a look at my screen. Do you guys recognize this critter?
Nope.
It's a cat of some sort. It's. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm.
You know those designer breeds these days.
It's the alien from the movie The Hidden. Have either of you seen it? It was a fairly popular movie in the 80s.
No, I wasn't watching many movies in utero. Sorry.
Oh, jeez. Make me feel like an ancient.
Sorry. Oh, I actually got to see my dad this weekend, and the card deck arrived in time that I was able to give him the deck for Father's Day. Unfortunately, some kind of bad shit happened this weekend, and I didn't get to give it to him personally, so I don't know what he thinks about it, but I'm sure he'll like it.
Oh, well, it's too bad you didn't get to see him personally.
Yeah, well, I got to see him. He actually had a stroke on Thursday.
Oh, no.
And he was in the hospital from Thursday to Sunday, so I saw him in the hospital, but I forgot to bring the deck with me, so I left it with my mom at my parents' house, and I was having to like head out around the time that my mom was actually bringing him home from the hospital, so just kind of there was a disconnect that I wasn't able to like put the deck in his hands and make sure he liked them. It's been kind of insane this weekend. The same day that my dad had a stroke, my husband, I had to take him to the hospital because he was having excruciating back pain.
Any idea what that was about?
They're fairly certain he has gallstones, but he's getting scheduled for an ultrasound to confirm, and until they confirm, they're like, probably gallstones, we're not sure, we took some blood tests, we know your liver's not dying, we know your kidneys aren't dying, this is the next most likely thing, so.
Yeah, usually severe back pain means kidney stones.
Yeah, and that they asked him like 6 different times, like, can you pee? Did you pee? Have you peed recently? And he's like, I just got here. I did not pee. I don't feel like I couldn't pee. Why do you keep asking me that? It was funny because like 3 different doctors came in, and every one of them is like, can you pee? And he's like, what? Like the first 2 didn't even explain. They're just like, can you pee? And he's like, why do you keep asking me that?
I have several siblings, and my oldest brother has had a number of kidney stones.
Oof. Those are particularly nasty for
men. And he knows when they happen because he just bends over double.
That sucks. I'm sorry for him.
But there is a...
The only relative I had who had them was...
Yeah, Bill, what about your relative?
I have a feeling his connection kind of hiccuped again.
I had enough.
Well, Bill, we're not hearing you now. We heard I have a, and then you went whine.
I heard aunt. He has an aunt.
Okay.
Aunt?
Uncle, who at the time we blamed it on him drinking too much milk because of the calcium and all that.
Now, they've discovered that an excellent way to prevent kidney stones or to treat them preemptively is for you to ride a roller coaster.
Get out.
Apparently, the shaking and the jarring knocks loose kidney stones.
So you're saying I should get a Wild Wave season pass for my health?
If you have kidney stones, yeah.
I should just put that on my medical savings account.
That if it runs in your family, like I'm wondering, I've enjoyed my fair share of fun rides, especially roller coasters. But now I won't be holding back. Normally my wife will say, well, you can always go on it by yourself if you want to, and I never do at the fair because, she's not a ride type person. But the next time, I'm going to say, well, you just wait here. I'm going to go on this ride. I want to see if...
Just be like, I got to go knock some kidney stones loose.
Yep, that's right. So she does enjoy a roller coaster. There's a really rattly one in Denver that she grew up with, and she particularly likes.
Oh, Elitch Gardens?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, was it the Thunder Cat? I think there was the older wooden one.
Yeah,
it
the
was
old wooden one. The thing that feels like it's about ready to fall apart when you go around.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was not a fan of that. I actually went to Elitch's before they moved it, and I went a ton of times after they moved it. And I swear, like, they didn't get it quite together right after transit, because I swear it was actually less rickety before they moved it. Like, I remember it being a smoother ride when I was younger, and it was back in the original gardens. But maybe that's just like being a 5-year-old. You're like, woo! Roller coaster, I don't even care if it's rickety. I'm only in single digits. I don't even know what a death wish is yet.
I remember going there, and it was, for some reason, they were doing a German fest, which made no sense because it's the middle of summer. But I ended up buying this pork chop on a stick.
That sounds like the epitome of fair food.
It was, and I waited for this pork chop because they weren't quite ready yet. So can you wait for 10 minutes? I said, yeah, for pork chop on the stick, I'll wait.
Oh, you waited for it. Oh my gosh.
It was one of the best pork chops I've ever eaten.
Huh.
I was very, very happy with it. And
It's always nice when you wait forever for food and you're like, okay, that was actually delicious.
actually, it wasn't that bad. I mean, 10 minutes for a pork chop,
I mean, you couldn't cook one at home that fast.
Yeah.
It was seared nicely. It was juicy.
Oh.
And above all,
I'm hungry now.
for that taste enhancement, it was on a stick.
Hells yeah, everything tastes better when you can go walking with it.
One year at the Puyallup Fair, I made a vow that the only food I would eat at the fair would be on sticks. And
So what did that limit you to?
let's see. Well, dessert was chocolate-covered strawberries.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. There was a thing called dinosaur meat, which turned out to be overcooked beef on a stick.
Aw.
Corn dogs, of course, plenty of corn dogs. That year was actually pretty good in the way of stick food because I was not starving at all.
Mm-hmm.
In years since, trying to find quality food on the stick has been hampered.
Little in progress shot of my snowy owl so far.
Uh-huh.
Always having trouble getting it in focus. Plus, I just noticed I got some terrible lighting today since I've actually got
So, Crystal, I think Bill knows this because we were talking about groups of animals and their group names. Do you know what a group of owls is called?
I believe it's a wisdom, isn't it?
No, it's a parliament.
Oh, right. A parliament.
Rook.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I stumped my friend the other day by knowing what a group of giraffes were.
Do tell.
Oh, and
They're called a tower.
Aw.
oh, interesting. Oh, and on a note, my mom just came to join us. Mark wants to know if you wanted me to clean the forest.
Oh, dear.
Moving logs isn't allowed.
No, I think it's great. Your whole plan of working together on the computer is just like genius. It's really neat.
Anyway, Parliament of Owls.
And a group of alligators is called a, what is it called?
A bad day?
A congregation, that's it.
A buffet line.
There's times where I wonder if somebody just makes them up, rather if there's any, as opposed to there being anything remotely cultural about these traditions.
I've heard that a lot of the animal ones are actually what's it called when they're basically little more than folklore, apocryphal. Because I've actually found some discontinuity with some of the bird ones where like you'll go to various sites and they'll actually have different answers for what various bird groupings are called.
Yeah, because I mean, Parliament of Rooks and Murder of Crows is pretty consistent, and Pride of Lions, etc. But when you get into the baboons and stuff, I wonder.
Well, there's I think
Murder of Crows I know is legit because I've had not one but two ornithologists tell me that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and for some creatures, there's multiple words for use, like for ants. You have hive, swarm, and there's another one.
Well, those are different. Yeah, those are different amounts because a hive is like one
There's a difference between a hive and a swarm?
Yeah, no, a swarm is multiple hives. Like if you kick over one anthill, that's a hive of ants. Kind of like a hive of bees. If for some reason you're an unlucky jerk and you like fall into a cluster of anthills in the forest, you done have a swarm of ants up your pants.
I always thought swarm applied to when they were actually swarming.
I mean, to swarm is also a verb, so, you know, it gets extra confusing then. The swarm swarmed my legs. Like, you can definitely get into some tongue twisters there. It's also probably pretty hard to tell exactly where the hive starts and finishes when the ants are outside their hill.
Mm-hmm.
But hives generally would be talking about like one family grouping of ants, basically, like all the ants that would go back to the same queen and take the same orders.
I believe it's more complex than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think ants actually have a fair amount of autonomy. Like
Now,
individual ants like can do quite a bit to like enact a given order that they're sent to do.
So there's another word for a group of bats besides colony. Do you know what it is?
Oh, I remember you saying
a cloud?
A cloud. Kudos to you, Crystal. You got it.
I like bats. They're one of my favorite animals.
I love that.
You want to know something interesting about bats? They have found that bats migrate in reverse to like what's common for birds. bats
They
go.
where it's colder.
Yeah, they go north in the winter, and they migrate south in the summer.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard that one.
So
They didn't know it until like pretty recent decades. The only reason I know about it is I was listening to, I want to say, the Sparks podcast. Oh, what do they do? It's What's the Point, I think is the name of the podcast. And occasionally they'll bring on science speakers, and they had a guy who's basically ended up tracking bats for like the last 30 years, and it started just because he liked bats as a kid, and he kind of started on as an assistant to the scientist because he found a bat colony in one of the mines near him and was like, hey, I have these bats, you know, do you guys want to know about where these bats are? And they had him going in and like tagging the bats, and they got some of the first information way back in the 60s and 70s on like where the bats go, whether they return to the same caves. Like a lot of the information that's more commonly known now, this guy was helping out with.
Wow.
Just because he was like the local kid who wasn't scared to go into the bat caves in the dark and rummage around and put little tags on bats.
So, Crystal, I've got a bird question for you.
I'll see if I can answer.
What do you call a gathering of buzzards?
Roadkill?
You're kind of close, but think something more formal.
Possum soup?
It's called a wake.
Oh,
Oh, how
kind
appropriate.
of poetic.
Oh, wait. W-A-I-T?
AKE, like the
Oh, wait.
funeral.
Like an Irish wake. Huh. That's neat.
Now, do you have any vultures on your to-do list?
Nobody requested vultures or condors or anything like that, but I
Oh.
could put it into the random list.
Oh, one fun one. I think I remember you showing me your kingbird, but did you get a one for Phoebe yet?
Yeah, I did a black Phoebe. I can show you in a second. I'm
Yeah, because
I'm
it's
trying to do
cool.
this color fill, so I have to work kind of fast.
We have if you go to my Twitter account, I found a nest of them 4 days ago.
Of black Phoebes?
I don't know if they were any specific kind, but Phoebe's chicks.
Oh.
But it's on my Instagram page.
Neat.
Yeah, if you're on
Well,
that.
then we had fun thinking about Phoebe and Phoebus Apollo.
Oh yeah, for the longest time I thought it was an onomatopoeia, and even that being completely oblivious to the Greek word.
Oh yeah, like Phoebes.
Yeah,
I wonder if
Phoebus
maybe
Apollo.
those birds were like originally like categorized from those islands.
Not Thebes, Phoebe, like Phoebus Apollo. No, I assumed it's because they call in the morning and stuff like that. That they're mostly active in the early morning.
Oh.
And
So why Apollo's called Phoebus Apollo is it's like
it's
he's
his
a
title
sun
as
god. So it's like means
it's his title in his capacity of a god of light.
Oh. I don't know if I'd ever actually heard that title for Apollo. I just learned several things.
I just got an instant message from a listener, and they said, asked me to ask you guys, can you guess what a gathering of emus is called?
Emus?
Ooh, I'm sure I've heard that one before. Well, admittedly, he said
As far as I know,
if
a
we
gathering
could
of
guess. It
emus
doesn't
is
mean we have
trouble
to
if
get
you're
it
in
right.
Australia. Word is they're very aggressive.
Oh, I saw this capuary that was when I was in Australia. It was the meanest bird I've ever. It would have killed me if it wasn't on the other side of the fence. It had bloodlust in its eyes.
So emus actually defeated the Australian army at one point.
Wow.
The Australian Army lost in war to emus.
So appropriately, a group
Background
of emus
blocking. Oh, shoot.
is called a mob.
Not surprised.
How appropriate.
No surprise here. All right, I'm gonna click.
But then again, that's a pretty popular phrase in Australia. It also applies to sheep.
Sheep. Huh.
A mob of sheep.
Oh, a mob of sheep.
There, can you guys see the color a little better? I closed the window so it wouldn't like over darken.
Ah.
Oh.
But I basically blocked in the background, and then I'm gonna put in the black accents and a little dot of yellow for his eye, and probably go back in with some white accents to lighten him back up.
Cool.
Oh, this person just sent in another one. There are 3 different types of grouping names for hawks.
Hawks?
Yes.
Hawks. One is for when they're in flight, one is for when they're in spirals, and the other one's just a general term. So what are these 3 grouping names for hawks?
Okay, say that all again. Something. I heard something, and when they're in spirals.
Yeah, one's for when they're spiraling. One was when they're in flight, and the other one's just in general.
Well, groups of hawks are really uncommon, so I'd assume groups of hawks in the air might be like a fight or a duel or something. When they're okay, I had no idea there were even multiple names. I really have no clue.
Okay, now, so I'm going to run this through. In general, they're called a cast. So maybe if you think of something like cast iron, you'll remember the next one. Because in flight, they're called a kettle. And when they're spiraling, they're called a boil. Or, well, pardon me, no, that's not boil, a ball. What ball? Not as in B-O-L-L.
Hey, Mark, can you give me the link to the Hangout? I tried checking YouTube, but I couldn't get it. I wanted to link into Discord.
Okay, you want me to just send that out by Twitter? I forgot to do that.
Yeah, Twitter or the chat window, either way.
Okay, let me find that.
Well, looks like we're just about done, so I don't know how much it'll help.
We're 3 minutes away.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, if we stayed the whole hour, we should be here for another half hour because we got started very late.
That's true.
What's interesting about the hawks is that have 3 words, and they're usually you think of the same things.
Other than migration.
Yeah.
That's really different.
Okay, it's in the chat window.
Cool. All right, bird. Where'd the window go? Where'd my window go? There it is.
I'm sending out a tweet.
Yeah, I'll do the line art.
So, Bill, what was
Yes.
your double feature last week?
I skipped it because I didn't want to. It was one more thing to forget while heading out.
Aw. Let's see.
I know it was me being paranoid, but I
watched or rewatched Donovan's Reef. I haven't seen that for a number of years.
I like that one. I introduced my folks to Jacques Tati last night with showing Mr. Hulot's Holiday.
Well, I like that one. That's a very nice one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering checking out the other 2, though I'm told while they're still very good, inferior to the first.
Mon Uncle's pretty good. I like that one.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Traffic.
I haven't seen that one. I can't recommend that one. There's one where I'm trying to remember the name of it, where he goes into the city to visit his niece who's working at like a big high rise.
I'm pretty sure that one is Mon Uncle, and this one where his niece is trying.
No, Mon Uncle is the one where he's with his little nephew, and he's living with his sister and her husband, and it's a really interesting take on an overindulgent lifestyle versus traditional lifestyle.
Then it has to be Traffic because he only did 3.
Yeah, I think it was one of his last
one.
ones.
Or the parents?
It's Mr. Hula. It's the traditional.
And Mr. Hulot wants to be more traditional than his relatives.
Mr. Hulot just wants to live well and doesn't really think about it. Whereas if I remember the description I saw about it, his relatives, in-laws want him to sort of be more with it in the times, sort of be more ambitious.
So if you run through all of his films, you may want to check out The Magician. No, The Illusionist. That's right, The Illusionist.
Oh, that movie is really good.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And never got around to producing it.
Wow.
I found it mildly depressing, but it was so gorgeously done.
What, The Illusionist? You found that one depressing?
Illusionist, yes.
Oh.
Well, it's sort of like the dying. It's sort of this guy's career falling apart as vaudeville is replaced by rock and roll and stuff like that, and so that he has smaller and smaller venues. And then the whole thing with
completely different Illusionist movie. Never mind.
The Illusionist is an animation. You're thinking of the Illusionist that came out the same summer that the Prestige came out with.
Yeah. Because I only actually watched The Illusionist by accident because I thought it was the Prestige. It turned out it was also a really good, completely different kind of movie. And then I went back and watched the Prestige and was actually kind of glad I ran into The Illusionist because I liked The Illusionist better than I liked the Prestige.
They're both good films, but I really did enjoy The Illusionist a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not as fond of the movies that leave you very emotionally ambivalent at the end like the Prestige did. It seemed like so much of the Prestige could have been fixed by how about you just have an adult conversation, maybe?
Yeah. Well, we're dealing with three arrogant SOBs, so I doubt they would have talked it out.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies that basically come down to a tragedy of personality errors. When I was rewatching Donovan's Reef, I was really disappointed at how heavy-handed the character, and thinly done the characters were.
Are still Siege there, or I sorry, you started going wonky for a second.
Am I still here? Yes, I'm still here.
Yes,
Little,
you are.
Okay.
But
On my
there's a
screen for a
space
second.
you weren't-
Here's the line art on this guy. Can you guys see?
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Whoa.
And the rest of the colors are actually a lot lighter, but like I'm getting a lot of backlighting onto my screen. Like that gives you a better idea of the colors. But like, unfortunately, it's really casting a shadow on my screen today. Or onto the camera.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how thick that is.
So my project tomorrow that I need to do is I'm drawing a bunch of stick figures playing golf.
Man, that sounds like easy work.
Well, you know, they have to be positioned just so because at
Is it a gig or is it something for your?
oh, it's a client project. I've done a number of stickmen before for him, but I've also done work for clients that are sell golf merchandise, and I know that if the posture is at all wrong, they're really turned off by it.
Yeah, golf really is kind of like all about posture, and if they're trying to sell golf equipment, that kind of makes sense. I took golfing lessons for like one full summer when I was in high school. And I wasn't too bad at it, but I just kind of came away from it feeling like, wow, this sport is really expensive if you get into it. Also, wow, this would take so much effort to actually feel like I was any good at this at all. I'm never doing this again. And that's my experience with golfing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is true. It's one of the more expensive sports. I used to do a lot of skiing, but I stopped skiing not because
I mean everybody I know.
I stopped doing it because I realized I didn't like getting cold. How the weather went.
That's a bit of a hurdle to get over if you want to go skiing. Yeah, it's like saying, man, I like drawing, but I just hate pointy things. I can't ever draw. I think you gotta figure that out really early. Yeah, skiing and snowboarding can also get super expensive. Growing up in Colorado, there's a lot of people I know that skied or snowboarded, and like looking back on it, man, that is a lot of money to invest if you're going to actually do it very often at all.
You know, my wife lives in Denver, but her family never went skiing.
I used to do a little
because it was expensive, but because they were very negative and say, "Oh, that's how you break a leg."
That too.
And I'm kind of going, I don't know anyone who broke a leg skiing.
I don't know someone personally, but my husband took an intercession trip to go skiing, and somebody on his trip broke their leg, and he hyperextended his arm during that same trip.
Your husband or the guy who broke his leg?
My husband hyperextended his arm. Some other person on his trip broke a leg. And it was like a bunch of people like learning to ski, and that's usually the people who are the ones that hurt themselves, especially younger people, because they're like, oh, I'm like young, so I can just pick this up and I don't have to listen to instructions or safety suggestions. I'm gonna just go down this hill as fast as I can. And then a lot of times in snowboarding, what'll get them is when they try and turn at too high of a speed, they'll go like face first into the snow, and they'll either break an arm because they won't catch themselves right, and they'll just go like hands first into the snow and snap their arm with their own force of inertia.
I learned how.
Or they'll break a leg by falling over, and basically the leg breaks above the hard shoe because their feet are like bolted to the board, and the rest of them bends harder than their feet do, basically.
I learned to ski when I was 6 or 7 years old. About the same time I learned to swim.
Nice.
My whole family would go up and do it together.
That sounds fun. That's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
That's not working.
The only other movie I've seen last week was The Purge.
The first one or the sequel?
The first one, because I'm kind of curious about the sequel. Now they're on to like the third one in the franchise.
They're actually on a third one?
Yes,
Wow.
they're on a third one now.
I hadn't realized that. I know I saw the second one hit theaters, but I didn't realize they were on a third one now.
The third one was the election one.
Oh, okay. That was the one I thought was the second one then.
Oh, no, that's the third one.
Ah, gotcha.
If you ever want to watch a fun, fluffy action, hardly could be called science fiction film, watch the Hidden.
Is that the one that you're drawing the alien for right now?
Yes. You know Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks and Dune? Did I say his name right?
I'm not sure because I haven't actually watched Twin Peaks yet.
Oh,
It's one of those I want to get to. It hasn't hit the top of my queue yet.
You need to watch Twin Peaks.
I've heard lots of people say it's good. It's one of those I mean to at some point. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Especially because they're coming out with another season, or have just come out with another season.
They're already airing it on Showtime. I am looking forward to dinner tonight. I went and got some takeout. We're going to be having some nice Indian curry for dinner. My wife always gets the chicken coconut, and I always get the lamb marsala. And there's a place down here that does it really nicely. What are you going to have for dinner tonight, Crystal?
Probably either doctored ramen or baked chicken with rice and vegetables. Because right now, at the state my husband's in, I've been kind of like letting him decide what's for dinner since he's on as basically a eat as little fat as you can diet until they can confirm whether or not it's gallstones.
I was visiting my friend Joe, and he had a little bit of a heart attack scare. It wasn't a bad heart attack, but it was mild enough that
Thanks.
freaked him out. So he completely stopped eating all animal protein and wiped nearly all fats out of his diet completely. He also suffered from high blood pressure.
That's a bit of an extreme diet change.
Yeah, and he has dropped a huge amount of weight. He is weighing between 165 and 170 right now.
Wow.
He's looking really good. I mean, there's not much left on him, fat wise. And he's only been at it for about, I would say, 6 months. But he was already trying to improve his diet before then. So. And it's fairly simple since his girlfriend isn't a foodie and doesn't like cooking. She just pretty much eats whatever he makes for her. My wife and I, we're foodies, man. I don't know what we'd have to, I mean, if we couldn't eat meat or fat, I'm sure one of these days we'll have to adjust our diets accordingly. But we think we eat pretty healthy right now. But then again, I know we also like to hit Five Guys and dive into those fries.
Well, as long as you're splitting the fries between two people.
Yes.
Because, damn, they always give so many fries. Well, I think this guy's pretty much good.
Oh, that's excellent.
He's going to be a more, like, soft and fluttery, like, pastel kind of guy.
I think we've reached a good stopping point.
Yeah. I didn't even notice we lost Bill. Does that make me a bad person?
Yes, it does.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Gonna have to turn in my good person card. Oh, shit, I lost that back in high school. Too bad.
You had a good person card back in high school? Nobody had a good person card.
I used to be kind of a goody two-shoes, but in my defense, everybody kind of picked on me, so I had to at least chum it up with the teachers because nobody else wanted to hang out with me.
I've had a really wonderful experience in that the group of 11 students that I went to Japan with in our district, that we get together for little mini conventions and tests and things. We've been managing to make contact with each other on Facebook, and we have like a little closed group.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
we have 9 of the 11 people in the group and now, so that's nice. And we've been sharing perspective on things that we didn't share back then. So
That sounds really cool.
yeah. Anyway, I am going to say goodbye to everyone. You have been watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. If you'd like to participate in Epic Sketch Time, please contact me, Mark Monlux, at my Twitter, which is at markmonlux.com. That's spelled MarkMonlux. We usually meet Wednesdays at 4:30 Pacific time. If you would like to join Epic Sketch Time and start a group, or rather start a time showing that arrives at a different time, please contact me. We like other people to do that and have done it in the past as well. And Crystal and Bill, I'll see you guys next week.
Oh, Bill's back. Also, see you next week. Signing off.
Bye-bye.